Today is March 6th, 2024. My name's Melissa Ackerman, and I will be interviewing Teddy Halpern. Good morning, Teddy. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm fine. Thank you.
First of all, why don't you tell me about your family, your parents, and if you know something about your grandparents, where and when were you born? Let's start there.
Okay, let me begin turning things over. I was born in Argentina in 1931, and my parents were David Halpern and Fanny Farzager. This is of my parents' side and my mother's side. I only know by my father's describing his family in Europe. This is there were 8 brothers, including my father, of which 5 were killed on the Holocaust. And I never met them, and I never met my grandparents in either side. In the side of my mother, I know even less than that. This is, I never met any member of her direct family and that disappeared on the Holocaust. And my parents had friends that knew their families in Europe, but this is as far as I know about them. This is of the immediate family on the side of my father. There were 3 brothers that I did meet. This is of the 8. And one of them traveled to Argentina with my father in 1923, and that was the year in which my brother was born. And the other 2, one of them, Benny, came to the States in mid-30s. Hitler was already in there and so on, and he left. The other one was my father's youngest brother, that is Julius, came to the States after the war. He fought the Germans in just about every front in Europe that you can imagine. He was there and survived. He was first married. We never met the first wife. She died in Europe during the Holocaust years. She got married again, and they had 2 children, Mina and Alan, of which I love dearly. They live in the States. They're both in the state of New York, one of them in the city and the other outside. And later on, things will develop in this conversation. I can't give you more details because it's kind of amazing. On my side, directly, I had a brother that was 8 years older. He died prematurely when he was about to become 70 years of age. It shouldn't have happened, but things like this in Argentina with the medicine and so on, the medical system and the political system, these things happen. He passed away, and it's not common that to have a brother that is 8 years older than you are, and you can tell that he was your best friend, and was reciprocal. There is a number of questions that you provided me essentially as a guide, and one of them becomes very clear is the relationship with the Jewish community. The day the Germans invaded Poland, but let me put it this way, begin in a very strange way. My father was born in Stanislavov. That was at the time he was born in 1895, was the Austro-Hungarian Empire. So one of these fluke things, of course, and World War I, he fought on the German army because it was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. That town has a very strange distinction. And the distinction is if you were born there and lived there all your lives, you will find that your documents have to be changed 4 times. Because when you were born, it was the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Then it was Poland. Then it was Russia. And now it's Ukraine. So without you moving, the borders moved. And this describes in a certain way the situation of a group of Jewish communities that have very strange allegiances from nationality. The name of the town has changed. This is what I decided to write down because it's Ivano Francisco.
Okay.
It's a very strange spelling. It is Frankisk.
How's it pronounced?
Ivano Francisco.
Okay.
That is in Ukraine.
Okay.
So the story is, I was a child when Hitler invaded Poland. I come from a very poor family, and it was either a Saturday or a Sunday. I think it was a Sunday, and my parents were tuned to the radio. They loved Italian music, and suddenly they said, we interrupt this message to give a news. This is German troops invaded Poland. And my father was cleaning a cage where we had a small bird, a canary, and it fell. And it's almost, I get goosebumps because I have an image, a clear image of what happened. And it looked as if that canary flew over the patio of the house a couple of times as saying, I am free.
Oh.
And I get emotional. But this emotional is the reaction of my father. My father said, if this is the way God wants it, I don't want to hear from him anymore. And he stopped going to the shul, and he would go only in the case if it was a bar mitzvah or was a wedding or so, but nothing else.
It completely turned him off.
Turned off. And I cannot help to think that as many people perhaps on the Jewish side took that approach as did the other way around. Jews that were marginal, between quotation marks, and became far more religious. Very, very strange. I know that my grandfather may have been a rabbi. So this gives you an idea of how religious my father was, grow up.
And so he had obviously been involved in the synagogue, and they...
My mother, extraordinary woman. This is a couple that fortunately they got married because here I am. But very different, extraordinarily different. My father, and this is part of one of the other questions that you...
You can go ahead and answer, yes.
It was probably the most generous man, the generous person I met in my life. We were, as I said, very poor, but if somebody needed help, my father would give it. Well, this put my mother in a disadvantageous position that she managed to keep us warm, to keep us fed, to keep us dressed with things that she would get from people that were throwing it away, and she would modify them to suit us.
What kind of work did your father do?
My father was a traveling salesman. This is always dealing with chocolate and candies and so on.
Okay.
And my father developed their customers were small stores in Buenos Aires. And if there anything I inherited from him is the number of friends he was able to develop there. This friendship for me has become something extraordinarily important in my life, continues to be. And this makes this place very special because the way we were received is extraordinary. But my mother had a view of the world that was very simple. There are good people and there are bad people. The good people are Jews, the rest are bad. Well, my brother was a very good-looking guy. And he liked girls, and girls seemed to have like him. But in a country where you have 95% of the population that declares itself as a Catholic, the chances that he would will find a Jewish girl were very slim. And my mother made his life quite difficult. And there is where probably the friendship between my brother and myself developed, because I was about 7 or 8 years old, and I would send my mother in the opposite direction where my brother left. So, and that created, I guess, a glue between us. Interesting enough, after marrying finally a woman that was not Jewish, it's the type of things that is not common, not simple. Almost after their marriage, his wife wanted to become a Jew.
Oh.
And if anything, probably she became the strongest attached Jew that I have met there.
Is there much conversion down there
It
in
was-
Argentina? That's very rare.
There is, but what happened, we tried to convince her not to do it. And I have to say that years after she passed away, we saw the documents that proved she did.
Okay.
And part of the family, my family, seemed to have done that repeatedly. Because I have a nephew, his wife was, again, Catholic, is Jewish. He's not only Jewish, but she participates in all the Jewish activities there.
So did your mother accept her
Well,
daughter-in-law?
I was in a constant fight with my mother because I said, look, you cannot do that before the marriage or so. When this is, sooner or later you will have grandchildren. And don't tell me that you will not go and see them. So, sure enough, when my oldest nephew was born, it was about 6 months after that, my mother couldn't hold it. And my mother and this woman that had converted turned to be the friendliest people in the family. So this is why I say I have a family that is a very strange one, but in a certain way I'm very proud of it in the sense that we all seem to try to find the good people.
So did you end up growing up with a Jewish education or in a synagogue or anything?
No, this is, I went as far as being bar mitzvah, and essentially that religiously or so, no. I would never deny that I am a Jew. Okay, and I contributed in a number of ways and so on, but never in an active way.
Okay, so no organizations or no
I
synagogues?
think it may have been the extraordinary level of love that I had for my father, that having been a witness of his reaction when the German invaded, that permeated my personality in that sense.
Did he ever change, your father? Or did he stay?
No.
Stayed that way
didn't.
till he died?
didn't. But again, he continued to be, as I said, the most general person that I know. And lots of people asked us, why did they go to Argentina?
I was going to ask you that next.
Well, I think it's most of the people that emigrated from Europe to the United States or to America, important, you will see why, he said, were very poorly educated. And my guess is that they will go and get tickets for a boat that went to America. In Ellis Island, outside New York, it was the entry point. And there is a map. And the map shows, with lights, a big band going from Europe to New York, and a smaller one going to Buenos Aires, Argentina. And I think what happened with my family is they got in the wrong boat. And they finished in Argentina.
Okay.
And made a living there, again, very poor. And there are elements of that that I think in my life are important. And one of them is the Argentinian educational system allowed me to begin my schooling as a small kid in kindergarten and went free of charge all the way up.
College and everything?
Well, I did, of course, elementary school, college, in high school, college. I finished with a degree in college. I finished with this educational system is different. So you don't have the two steps of college in which you have college and then after you go for a career, okay? So
okay.
It's a single one. I finished as a chemist and decided that I wanted to do research and that I didn't know enough physics. So I began to study physics on my own. And then was an opportunity because a new Institute of Physics opened up and I applied. And 13 of us were accepted with the first group of students in 1955. And that is related, I don't know if Marta told you anything about our years together,
A little bit.
that were many.
A little.
This, at the time we were boyfriend and girlfriend, and so I decided not to tell her that I was applied and I was accepted, because the place where the institute was 1,200 miles from Buenos Aires.
So how did you and your wife meet?
We met when I was studying chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
The town where it was La Plata, it's called. It's about 40 miles from Buenos Aires. And her cousin was a student of chemistry. We began to study together, and I met the family. Mm-hmm. And so I stayed on the family. This is I felt very, very good there. And we became boyfriend and girlfriend. And I decided not to tell her that we would be going to this town called Bariloche, that is by the Andes. This is Buenos Aires, if you look at the triangle, is here, and Bariloche is all the way across the country. When I was accepted, though, I said to her, I said, look, I know exactly what we'll do. We're married next year, and we will go for honeymoon to Bariloche. That was a very expensive place. But since I had a full scholarship, so that was not an issue. So he thought probably that I drank too much that day or so. And so we married. And
how long did you date each other before you ended up getting married?
Probably 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And dating then was something that has nothing to do with dating now, in the sense that everything was.
How old were you?
When,
during this time, were you in your early 20s?
When we began to be girlfriend and boyfriend and so on, I probably was 22, mm-hmm. So 21, 22. Mm-hmm. And we continued, I continued to bridge the two families. Very little of my family in Argentina, but her family was very, very large. Mm-hmm. Her mother went to Argentina in 1906, and this together with 4 or 5 sisters and a brother, and they were all living together.
Yes, that's right.
Societies at the time, your family was within a few blocks where you were.
All just in the same neighborhood right around there.
Yeah, I can imagine, yeah. And so I met the family, and the family accepted me. And so we have been married now 67 years.
That's wonderful. Well, when you were growing up, did you celebrate Jewish holidays?
Yes.
How did you do that? Were they special traditions?
Most of the time, the celebration was with Marta's family. That Marta's father would go to shul every Saturday. Mm-hmm. Marta's side was far more religious than my side. Mm-hmm. And so most of the celebrations were at her home or the home of one of her uncles or sisters, uncles and, what's the female? Yeah, and aunts, okay?
Aunts and uncles.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so we became, they accepted me, and we became very good friends with all of them, essentially. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I did finally, after the institute, there was 3 years that I spent there as a student, 1955 to 58. By then, at the end of 58 or so, our first child was born, Patricia, that lives in Dallas. Mm-hmm. And we went to Germany, because I got a fellowship to do my PhD there.
What part of Germany?
Yeah, Stuttgart.
What did you think about going back over there?
I have not gone back. No, I didn't go back there.
No, your family grew up there. Oh, near there. Did you go back?
We spent 2.5 years there. Mm-hmm. And we did things that only crazy people do. Like our daughter was not even 3 months old or so when we went to Germany on a boat of the Argentinian Merchant Marine. Okay. So I looked back and I said, if any of our children would like to do that with our grandchildren, say you're crazy. But we did it and it worked okay. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I always looked upon is anti-Semitism. And I have to say that those 2.5 years, it was not there. That it looked as if a new generation grew up. I don't know how the situation is now, but at the time, I was accepted. It was absolute. I didn't feel any discrimination. But in a certain way, although I was never active in the Jewish movement, it moves that inside me is an element of Judaism that also is there.
Did you experience much anti-Semitism when you were growing up in Argentina?
No, but Argentina is potentially a very anti-Semitic country. Potentially.
Potentially.
And when you have a country where many military governments take place and then they are displaced and then there's another one and so on, and they had two events in Argentina. That was the blowing up of the Israeli embassy and the home of the Judaism in Argentina. And the fact that the government didn't pursue the thing in the way they should have.
To investigate it.
The investigation. So it began, it developed, it stretched, and so it never ended. And that in a certain way gives you an idea that at least at the government level, there is anti-Semitism. Now, there is a basic anti-Semitism. I should correct that. Because when I was a child, they will refer to me as a Russo. Russo, that would be from Russia.
Russia. Mm-hmm.
Okay, because this was the mentality, was as if I am a Jew, I come from there.
Mm-hmm.
Or my parents come from there and so on. And that happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
At the university, college level and so on, no. I had no, I cannot say that I found any anti-Semitism there, but potentially yes.
So you were in Germany till the early 60s, roughly?
Oh,
We
yeah.
And then where did you go from?
59. Let me see. 58 to 61, yes.
Okay, and then where did you go when you finished doing that?
I went back to the place, this Bariloche in Argentina, where I became a faculty at the Institute of Physics.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent there about 2 years. And there is something that many countries of the type of Argentina do that they shouldn't. Is, as I said, very few countries in the world will pay for the education of an individual from A to Z, and then when the individual wants to give back, they say, oh, tough. In the sense that I came extremely well prepared, and they didn't provide me with the elements, the minimum elements for me to help. So after 2 years, and by then we had 3 children, all were born in Argentina. Patricia, the one that here, and the 2 brothers.
Mm-hmm.
I decided, well, 6 months after we arrived in Argentina, I got an offer to come to the States.
Where?
To the University of Chicago.
Okay.
And I said no. And people look at me as crazy, and now I would look myself as crazy.
Why did you turn it down?
Because I said I owe the country. I owe a lot to this country, that with a poor family like mine, somebody can do what I did. I owe it.
Okay.
But then the country said, tough. So about 2 years later, I wrote to a colleague of mine that was classmate, and I said, look, is there anything going on there? And immediately I got an offer from the University of Chicago.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
They really wanted you.
Yeah. And I said yes.
Okay.
That time I said yes, we were in Chicago with 3 kids.
Okay, what'd you think about Chicago?
Sorry?
What did you think about Chicago? Did you enjoy living there?
Chicago, the best description of Chicago as a town is the one that Marcelo, our younger son, has. That is a manageable New York. Mm-hmm. In the sense that everything, mm-hmm. but at the level in which you can manage.
So did you participate in things in the Jewish community? Did you join a synagogue? Did you?
No. Okay. No, in a certain way, our coming to the States, the only connections to the States were the 2 uncles that I left in New York, in Brooklyn. When we were with them, yes, there were sometimes we were We went to weddings, Jewish weddings, and so on, but no actively, no.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Did you go to any kind of Jewish events? Was there anything even on the fringe of the Jewish community that you all participated in as a family?
Again, we very often went to New York and so on, and the answer is yes, with my family, my New York-based family, yes, my cousins and my uncles.
Okay. And so tell me about your children. You mentioned your daughter. Tell me, and you have two sons.
Okay, the two sons is, both of them finished college, of course, and one of them, the one that follows, Pablo, is a computer maven. And I think it's not just the father talking about, he's one of the U.S. representatives to a group that is the C++ program group, and it travels all over the world, okay? And the other one is a lawyer, and again, he seems to be very good because he's, again, travels all over the world and has customers all over. And that is an element of extraordinary pride on my side. We never forced anything for our children to do. And the way they happen to be is, I think we did something right.
Sounds like you did a lot of things right. Where did they end up going to college?
The one?
Where did they end up getting their education?
My Pablo, the second one, went to, well, the third one I know is Wesleyan, the youngest one. And the other one was a very famous place. That was, okay, in Connecticut. I would remember, but...
Yale?
No, it was not Yale. It's a group of, there are five...
There are a lot of colleges.
Five colleges.
You can come back to it if you think about it.
He went to one of them, and then the funny thing is, we said, look, why weren't we paying tuition there when you are getting your degree from the University of Massachusetts? Okay, Massachusetts, the Mass General was Mass.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you see much of your children these days? Do you get to visit with them? Yeah.
They come to us most of the time. And one thing we did with Marta is Thanksgiving became the local, the glue, in the sense that for many, many years, we would spend a few days with them at our home in wherever we were for Thanksgiving.
So Thanksgiving was your holiday, and everybody came.
It was a family holiday.
Okay. Yep. And do you have any grandchildren?
We have 5. One just left yesterday.
Where are they located, and what do they do with their time?
This is one interesting thing, because the United States is a big country.
Yes.
And they are all over. We have this one, the one that was here yesterday, graduated from Johns Hopkins with a degree in physics. And the other one, his sister, is a surgeon at Mass General. So yeah, so this is
smart, very
yeah,
smart.
And
okay.
Then I have the other one is a woman, is a Nailani, that is a environmental engineer, and then her brother is another computer maven. So I think, do I miss anything? No, I don't think so. There are 5, 5 of them. And if there is a pleasure to see when they get together, in spite of the separations and so, it's as if they have been together all the time.
Are they close?
And that is where you, as a grandchild, as a grandfather, says, we did something right. Okay.
And they're close?
Yeah, it propagated down.
Okay. Any great-grandchildren?
No.
Okay. So...
none of them married. So
oh, okay.
Yet.
Well...
Oh, no, there is one more, the Wesleyan, that lives in New York.
Okay.
And she is quite a high position within an organization called NDI, that is, no, NDI, no. Dance Institute is, they deal with children in elementary school and so on that are taught with dance, but not classical dance or so popular type.
Mm-hmm.
Things like respect to each other and so on, and grow up, and she's National Dance Institute, it's
Well,
called.
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you and Marta do any traveling when?
A lot. When
Where-
we were in Europe, a lot. And when we came to the States, we did a lot of traveling based in the States. More of the traveling was outside the States.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Russia, we went to Japan, we went to China, we went to Europe. Yes, we did a lot of traveling.
Where was there one place you particularly enjoyed going?
The one that impressed me the most continues to be Japan.
Really?
The level of order and everything was neat. Okay, so and that fit me okay.
Okay.
And I have this is professionally I'm very very happy, and I continue to teach.
Where?
Well, I began at Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Then I moved a few miles away to Argonne National Lab. That was at the time in which the United States had the Atomic Energy Commission, and this was one of the labs. I didn't do anything that has to do with atomic physics, but the center of research was extraordinary. It was extended way beyond that. And from there, I taught for 2 years at Yeshiva University in New York. And then I did a big move. And the big move was for a college that, again, strange enough, I was about the first group of faculty. I was the first group of students many years back in physics,
Mm-hmm.
and then there was a student faculty there, because I realized over the years that I love to teach.
Mm-hmm.
And I still, as a matter of fact, next week, no, this week on Saturday or Sunday, no, Sunday, I am getting on a Zoom meeting with students that graduated in 2000.
Wonderful.
And we continue to get together twice a year. One on my birthday and one 6 months separated.
Oh, that's so nice. So you keep up with them by doing
I
that?
keep up with them.
And you teach a class on Zoom?
Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And I have one of the students particularly that I continue to be in touch, and so is a Nobel Prize winner.
Well, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
You must be a really good teacher.
He was a very good student. So,
Well, you must be very proud of that.
no, I believe one of the things is, as I said, I'm not a man of few words, but my tendency always, as a teacher, I said, many of my colleagues probably are better physicists than I am, but many of them should never be teachers, because to be a teacher, the idea is not to show the student how much more you know than they do, but how much you can raise their level. And many of my colleagues, unfortunately, do a little showing off.
Hmm.
And that's not the teacher. My opinion is not.
Mm-hmm.
So I continued to teach after I retired.
What year did you retire?
I retired in 1902.
1902? No.
No, not 20.
No. That's not right.
No, that would be, no, 2002.
Okay.
Yeah.
So have you been teaching doing Zoom and guest?
25 years or so I was teaching that college.
That's
I became the dean, I began the
Mm-hmm.
vice president of academic affairs and so on, but I always wanted to teach.
It sounds like you're a wonderful teacher.
I don't know, but at least it made me happy to do that. And they seem to like it. So that's all I say.
Absolutely. So when did you come to the legacy?
We came in, to be precise, I think it was 26 or 27 of September last year.
Mm-hmm.
And we are new here.
Yeah, you'd never lived in Dallas before.
No.
And you came because your daughter lives here in Dallas?
The three kids decided that we were at an age in which a place like this was where we should go. Mm-hmm. I have to say that I was the only opposed. And now I have to say that I was wrong.
You didn't want to live in a retirement community? You didn't
No,
think you were?
no. But now, the way we were received and the way I interacted with the people here, Marta too, it's as if we were always friends.
People,
This is a remarkable place.
people were welcoming to you?
Absolutely remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
This is a feeling at our age to feel so easy.
Do you participate in any of the programs?
We are slowly integrating. What happened is the change is such at the beginning that we are finally finishing. Well, I think yesterday, before yesterday, I took the last box downstairs. Okay.
So everything is unpacked now?
Yeah, and so we are at this moment that we're almost completely unpacked.
Okay. Well, that's a big
We still have
thing to get rid of the last
We
box.
have to put some pictures. We have two Chagall things that we want to put on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
They are not original Chagalls. They are the 10 windows in two groups. Okay, very nice.
Sounds beautiful.
Yeah, and we will do it probably tomorrow, as a matter of fact. And so I am extraordinarily proud of my family. This is yep.
That's the
It's,
thing that you're most proud?
Without interfering with any one of my children or grandchildren, to see where they reached or so is an extraordinary pleasure.
That's wonderful.
And I have to say that probably, I would say not probably, but almost sure, Marta has more to do with that than I have.
Was she home more with the children, raising them?
Yeah, I'm also, I do things in a definitive way, meaning if I go into research, I go berserk. And as I can go 12 hours a day would be common.
Mm-hmm.
And she, all the family together, it's the glue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It's nice.
It is nice. Is there anything else that you want to be able to share that I didn't touch on? What life in Argentina was like?
The life in Argentina, this was one of the things that for me again was difficult, was to leave the friends there. We had friends there that, and there is particularly a group of them that continue to be, they consider us, Marta and myself, as part of the family.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the children of our friends, and we continue to be almost like the ersatz parents, okay?
Did you get to see them on a regular basis?
Every time. Well, for a few years, having the advantage of speaking the two languages, Spanish and English,
mm-hmm.
and the possibility of doing it, these are the two things, is the weather there is 6 months off here. So mm-hmm. when I retired, a few years later, with Marta's brother, we bought a house on the beach, and we would spend 3 months or 4 months at times a year there. Of course,
very nice.
Winter here, so we
very
had 4 spring and 2 summers. So yeah, we did it for 15 years.
Oh, that's nice.
And then Marta's brother got ill, and then COVID came, and someday people will realize that COVID changed the world, not just in medical terms.
It did.
But in some things in a good way. This is the number of people working now from home owed to COVID,
mm-hmm.
because it was known. But when people began to work from home, I said, well, wait a second, I'd rather do this than having to go every day to the office.
Mm-hmm.
And beyond that is unfortunate, has been politicized both ways. And I think one of the things is that I think I am, let me finish with this. In 1988, I don't know what was the reason, but I had to give a speech at the college where I was teaching. Mm-hmm. And I said, when I was a teenager, I blamed my parents for the world they were leaving me. And now I am leaving my children a world worse than the one I inherited. Who do I blame? 10 years later, another opportunity like that, and I said, 10 years ago I said that, and now I see my children leaving my grandchildren a world worse than the one I am leaving them. And I still looking at it and said, this is crazy. We have everything at hand for everybody to be well fed, to be healthy and so on. And we decide to go for absurd ways of income, trying to get gazillions of dollars that you cannot spend. So, but it has transformed having money into having power. And that is changing in a way that I don't like at all. Hopefully, our grandchildren also could change that way, reverse it a little. Mentally, they are on the tone of dropping those ideas and trying to be better human beings. Okay, so.
Anything else?
I don't think
You've
so.
been fascinating. It's been wonderful. Thank you so much, Teddy. I've really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you for taking the time and doing this. Yes.
Thank you.